morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Best Coast Podcast. I'm your host, JJ. This is your host, Zack. This is where sports bring camaraderie between rivalry sports groups. So another great day, another great Thursday here in America.
Isn't it where camaraderie brings fans together or something like that?
Something like that, yeah. I change it up every week. I don't think I ever say it right the same week or say it the same way every time.
Yeah, we're still workshopping our real motto here. So if anyone's got any suggestions, like let us hear it. You know, we're working on things.
Exactly. Well, the Rams are finally eliminated. They got eliminated 2 weeks ago, but we weren't here for that. I was busy doing a bunch of chemistry homework. Zach was snowed in, probably some snow dump town. South of Minnesota.
That's actually the perfect description. I was in Marshalltown, Iowa.
Okay, yeah, small town. I would say
small town. Yeah, it was. I was there for work. It's the life of an outside salesman in the Midwest.
Yeah,
lots of windshield time. So
lots of windshield time. It's better than lots of fucking pushing paperwork time.
Yeah, you know, it's got its advantages and disadvantages. I drive hours to go to places to get told that the product I'm selling is shit and our prices suck, and I'm ugly, and my teams are shitty, and my tattoos are gay, and yeah, stuff like that. It's a great time. It's really so much better than being at home in my own bed, hanging out with my dog. But we're back this week, and it was the weekend of eliminations. That game was close. You know, the Rams definitely hung around. I know that some people try to use the weather as an excuse. I really just think that that Philly run game was, at the end of the day, was going to be too much. And we're going to speak on that a little bit later here. The Buffalo-Baltimore game, I mean, I've never seen Mark Andrews that was the worst time for Mark Andrews to have the worst game of his life. Like that fumble.
I was still too shook up to watch that game. I was shocked and disappointed. I didn't know what to do besides drink. I was like, I can't watch football right now. I can't believe the Rams didn't come back and win this. I was shocked.
That's what you do. It's like when your team gets eliminated from the playoffs or your significant other packs up their shit and leaves. The answer is very Irish. You drink about it. So
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
You know? But yeah, Mark Andrews, I mean, at the same time, that Baltimore player that forced that fumble, great technique, came in and peanut punched it. And I really thought he was going to catch that, tie it up. We were going to get like overtime playoff football again. It's just too bad that it did work out that way. Yeah, right. We're there. You know, the officiating, the NFL really needs to try to get out in front of this at some point, because just sticking their heads in the sand and not acting like the officiating is a problem in some of these big games.
They really need a chip in the fucking goddamn ball. I'm crying out loud. And
if they could do it in tennis, golf, international soccer, which is baseball, international soccer, which is the biggest sport in the world. I know football fans hate to hear that. Then we can do it in the NFL. And don't tell me we can't. Don't tell me there's not money for it. Don't give me any of that bullshit. Yes, there is. Yeah. It can be done. The technology is there. And there doesn't need to be like a test period for any of this sort of stuff, too. They can have it rolled out, ready to go by the first preseason game next season.
Well, they were testing it this preseason, and then it just completely went haywire because they couldn't get it into every stadium in time. So that's what the big push this offseason is supposed to be, is they're supposed to be pushing for this technology to go in these stadiums.
Right, and I get that, but it's like if we have the orange markers there on the goal lines where the first down marker is, like why – I mean, I am not a scientist. That's JJ's department. He's the smart guy on the podcast. Granted, I mean,
I'm just in college right now. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, right. Look, he's smarter than me. Not saying a whole lot, like you know, like. But how is that measuring technology not able to already be put into those? To me, that seems like a very simple thing to add. Why New York can't address this stuff? Like, if we have all this replay review and we still can't get the calls right, then what are we doing?
And so, like, they already have a chip in the ball.
Right.
If you see all those Amazon Prime things where they're tracking the speed of the ball, that's the chip in the ball.
Right.
So they have the technology in there already to do it. They just not, for some reason, are not implementing it on the field. Because let's face it, the Bills would have gotten 2 first downs there in the third and the fourth down possession. I'm sorry.
Well, no, Josh Allen broke the plane. that was not a catch by Kansas City. If anything, is an
Oh
interception.
my god!
Buffalo.
I can't believe that was not called incompletion. Two hands going straight down on the. There's no way that there was anybody catching that. I get the
Right.
ball didn't move, but they went straight down on the ground like that.
Yeah,
There's no way that can be it.
Yeah, it's terrible. And then the fact that they even on that incomplete pass to Dalton Kincaid, they threw a flag just so they could have it like a built-in excuse, and then they picked it up.
Right.
The NFL officiating, the league in general, the obvious, and the Chiefs. Yes, some of the games they won this year that were close. That toe was out in Week 1 in Baltimore. Blocked field goals. Yeah, there was some luck, but there was a blatant pass interference call against Atlanta. There was a couple games down the stretch where it was missed calls. The phantom quarterback or personal foul calls against Houston in the playoffs. Like,
oh my god, those were horrible, dude. Those were horrible.
You're hurting the integrity of the game, and you're chasing fans away. Like, I know of a handful of people who aren't even remotely interested in watching the Super Bowl because it's like
I'm kind of there, dude.
Okay, here's the only way that I see it happen. The Eagles have to use the exact same playbook and the exact same framework that Tampa Bay did when they beat Kansas City, 3 years ago now? 3, 4?
Right, so 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago now, yeah. Is where you get up by so many points that the officials can't put their thumb on the scale. And that is going to be Saquon running for, 200 and 3 tutties. A.J. Brown needs to get in there. And that Eagles defense needs to show up and smother and force turnovers. Now, at the same time, an attacking defense like that, Mahomes is going to be flopping all over the place like a goddamn NBA forward. And that's where I think the officials are going to come in and put their finger on the scale. So
this thing though, I just see Mahomes picking apart that battered and beaten secondary of the Eagles.
That secondary is not that injured, and I don't see them. The Eagles secondary is statistically better than the Bills secondary, and Mahomes didn't really have his best game against that. You have Darius Slay back there, who's a wily veteran. You get C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who, as my good friend Debo said, trash. Cooper DeJean actually having a very good season as a rookie. He actually has had a better season than I expected. But when you get Jalen Carter and those big boys up front going and getting pressure, you're going up against a very good offensive line in Kansas City. So
I just think, though, the Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers are better in route running, and they know how to get open in the zone.
DeAndre Hopkins, yeah, I'll give you that. Juju Smith-Schuster, not the best hands. Hollywood Brown, Hollywood Brown is an unknown. He hasn't played this season, so there's a lot of questions there of how much does he know the offense? Also, at the same time, he's probably the freshest player out there because he hasn't gone through the rigors of a full season. He could very easily be a difference maker. Travis Kelce, he's going to get out there and sit down in his zone. He's not running away from anybody anymore.
No. But that's the thing. He knows how to get open in his zone. Right. He knows where to go and find that soft spot in his zone.
I feel like if anything, like you need to put like a safety or like a coverage linebacker as a spy on Kelce. Because when Mahomes is going through his progressions and those other wide receivers we just mentioned aren't open, he's going to go to Kelce. That's a safety blanket. That's a check down. And you can't just have him sitting there wide open thinking about Tahitian vacations with Taylor after this and all that kind of stuff. So I really think that Philadelphia can win this game. What Saquon has done this postseason and this season in general, is one of the more impressive seasons about running back I've seen in recent memory. Like, and it's power running too. It's running angry. It's like he's just going out and he's just running through motherfuckers, dude. And like it's impressive to watch. It's really, I'm enjoying it. It is.
Dude, there's one main reason I'm enjoying it is because that Giants fucking preseason show, whatever they did, where they're like, oh, no one's going to sign Saquon. No one's going to sign him for this many dollars. And then you hear the owner say, man, if this guy goes to Philadelphia, I'm going to he's going to have like nightmares for the rest of his life and this and that. It's like, dude, that's what you get letting Saquon walk. Like, who the fuck would let this? It's like letting Christian McCaffrey walk. Even though he's hurt right now, it's like you don't let a guy like that walk until he's ready to retire.
And I guarantee there's not a scenario in the world where the Niners let Christian McCaffrey walk. Like this season, it was just everybody was hurt this season for the Niners, And again, McCaffrey is such a different runner than Saquon, though. Like McCaffrey, you can use in the running game and stuff like that, where Saquon's a battering ram.
Right.
I don't know if
I
you
was just
read.
using McCaffrey as an example.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things I thought was really cool is that Saquon, part of his contract, he has a box for every game at the link. And he had Daniel Jones, his old Giants offensive lineman, like a bunch of former Giants players were up there cheering him on, which if I don't know if you could give a bigger middle finger to your former boss or your current boss, if your dude's
I did
currently
not
on the
know
Giants
that.
roster there. Yeah.
I did not know that. That's awesome, dude. That's
So
even better,
Saquon and
dude.
Daniel Jones are apparently like they're super tight, which
Right, yeah.
which I get it. They spent a lot of time together. They kind of came to that team like I think a year apart.
Right.
So I
And
thought
it's a quarterback and running back. You got to be on the same page, and you got to be friends. And if you're
Sure.
not clicking as a quarterback and running back, you're going to drop lots of fumbles, and you're going to not be able to pick up the protection he wants and stuff like that. So yeah, you got to be on the same page.
Well, I remember they asked Saquon after Daniel Jones got cut, and he said, "Good for him." Like get your money and get the fuck out of there. Like, which just really speaks to what dire sort of straits
the Giants franchise is in.
Both those New York City teams are in right now.
They canned their GM, right?
No, they kept Joe Sean and Brian Dable are getting one more year. I mean, sure, I guess.
I guess they really want that number one all over draft pick. They want to go for Peyton Manning or Eli Manning? No, what's the Manning that's down in Texas?
Arch Manning.
Archie Manning. Yeah,
Arch Manning. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
this is probably the way to go about it. And again, if you Malik Neighbors and Arch Manning on paper in 2 years from now, yeah, but there's still I feel like it starts at the top, and I don't know how you recover from a blunder of letting Saquon walk to a division rival. Probably would have broken Eric Dickerson's record had he played Week 18.
Oh, 100% he would have. 100%
yeah, and then we all watch in the playoffs of him like just they're not small. He's running for 60, 70-yard touchdowns. Just steamrolling through people.
Yeah,
I think that is the formula that Philly can use to win the game. Get up by 20 points, and the officials can't fuck with you then. If it stays close, the officials are going to find a way to put their thumb on the scale, and we'll all see it. And everyone's watching, and it just sucks that the NFL is like, you think they would care a little bit more about like not completely alienating the fans of the 29 other teams that are out there, but apparently that doesn't matter to them because it's their.
They got that Taylor Swift money rolling in right now.
Yeah, but I mean, are there enough Swifties? Are there enough Swifties out there who are going to offset dudes like you and me who pay for the ticket every year, pay to go to games, buy merch, do all that stuff?
No.
Right. No. And that's what I'm saying is like they should be a little more cognizant of the guys who've been paying your bills for the last 20 some odd years.
I was only talking trash, man. I was only talking trash.
And I don't got no problem with Taylor Swift. She's out there supporting her man.
Yeah, no, dude, I love what Taylor Swift has brought to like the fan base she's brought with us because it's brought more girls to it, which is nice because I can actually have a conversation about about football with him, not just an ugly guy. I'd be like, oh yeah, did you watch that game last night? No.
Dude, it reminds me of like in the late 90s and early 2000s when all of a sudden like girls started going to metal shows and it wasn't a bunch of dudes who look like me and you all the time. It's like, whoa,
right,
there's like good looking girls here. Like,
what
this is different. I like this. This is a good development. I feel like it's got a little bit of that to it.
It does.
So yeah, we'll touch on this again next week before we get into Super Bowl Sunday. We'll probably we'll make our picks. Maybe do a couple prop bets on there. Being the last game of the season, we'll have some fun with it. And who knows what other developments will come out in the next 7 to 10 days here. Speaking of, go ahead.
The Eagles linebacker, he might play in the Super Bowl all of a sudden.
Nakobe Dean, really?
No, it wasn't. Who was it? I forget who it was. I forgot.
Nakobe Dean got in the game against the Rams. They said he was done for the year. Like they carted him off.
No. He was just got off. They just pulled him up from the injured reserve wherever. They opened his window.
Yes. No, they designated him to return from IR. Yes.
And was that who?
The name escapes me at the moment, but I remember seeing that same report.
Let's see here. Eagles report. Brandon Graham, maybe
Brandon
it was.
Graham. That's who it is. Yeah,
Brandon Graham. Yeah.
Brandon Graham's been on the team for a while. Like that dude's gonna if he's got anything in the tank for this.
You want him to come in? Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it would be like the Lions and that defensive lineman coming back this
Oh,
week. Be like,
yeah, Aiden Hutchinson, yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson coming back. You want that guy to come back. It doesn't matter if he's not going to play all of his snaps. Just that emotional support of him being there and in the game, it
Yeah,
amps it up another level.
the whole Aiden Hutchinson thing, like the dude is young and got his whole career ahead of him, and that was such a gnarly injury. Like
Right.
I get it. Like I get it if the Detroit would have made it this far, but all it takes is someone to roll up on that again, and if it re-breaks, like there goes next year.
Right.
And
right,
who knows how
right.
that affects him down the road. Like you're gonna have a bunch of hardware in that leg. Like that's could be
It's
troubling.
tough.
So it's
Right,
tough.
right.
But no, I think you're gonna see everybody that's able to go is gonna go. Hey, it's the last game of the season, man. Like leave it all out there. Something I assume the NFL is going to make sure is very visible is a lot of Jason Kelsey footage. Being his former team playing against his brother again. Like
Oh,
I feel
dude.
like
Okay, first off, I love Jason Kelsey on TV. I still haven't watched his late night show, whatever, but
me
his
neither.
commentary and all the other stuff and pregame antics is great.
Yes.
I'm here for it. I'm here for the big man center, having a good time, partying with the fans, and having a good time out there because
Dude,
he's great. He's great. He's great on TV.
yeah, no. Again, I would love to hang out with Jason Kelsey and watch a game and put down a 12 pack with him, and just listen to him talk about like the battles in the trenches and stuff. I have
Right.
a good friend of mine, and through him, other people I've met who are big Philly fans. And there were some real drunk texts flying around last Sunday about, oh, bro, we're gonna get together and go watch the game and do all this other stuff. And then on Monday, everyone was like, no, I got like a wife and kids. Like, no, I can't go party at a bar in Nashville. Like I was already looking at flights. Like I just got a dog. I was like, dude, I'll go party with a bunch of Philly fans in Nashville for the Super Bowl. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be fucking ridiculous and dangerous. I'm going to be real hungover on Monday, but
Oh
it's a
yeah,
good
yeah.
experience. But everyone's sense has, I think, spoken to their significant others and their bank accounts have been like, actually, no.
No, can't do it. We
Yeah.
just had Christmas, ding dong.
There were some, yeah, exactly. There were some people who were like, well, dude, just fly out to Philly. We'll watch it at a house party here. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the safest thing for me to do because I talk a lot of shit when I drink brown liquor, and be it good, bad, or indifferent. Yeah, it probably wouldn't be the best thing. But speaking of the East Coast and New York teams, we mentioned the Jets finally made a hire here. Let's get into some of the coaching hires that finally went down this week.
I was going to say, because I was going to bring up the Jason Kelsey thing into the TV. What's great for TV is Jameis Winston is going to the Fox booth for this week. And I am going to love every minute of that. That guy can talk. Like, don't get me wrong, Cam Newton's good on TV because he dresses nice. But what Jason Winston brings to the camera is that personality.
Jameis Winston, not Jason. Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston.
He said, Jason. You know what's going to be great is when Jameis Winston is interviewing Travis Kelce. Because those dudes, that's gonna be great right there. There's gonna be some good stuff. Or Chris Jones, who's probably actually I would like to see the stats of how many times did Chris Jones sacked Jameis Winston. Like that'll be a good one too.
Right.
It'll be good stuff. The Jameis Winston career arc, I don't think it's gone how he or probably a lot of people thought it would go. But he seems to. You've seen them. He's grown up and matured a lot. Like he had a bad start coming out of college. Definitely made some mistakes at the beginning of his career. Suffered through some injuries, and you kind of look at like how he comported himself in the locker room in Cleveland, and his other stops. And no one in any of those franchises has anything bad to say about him as a leader. You can critique his quarterbacking and him closing his eyes and chucking it up all you want. That's a fair critique. But as a locker room guy. And as a dude who I think has fully embraced and has appreciated his time in the NFL.
Right.
And always to be ready to have a good quote ready for when a microphone is put in his face is good. It's good for the game.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, he said it off air. He had that phenomenal year in Tampa Bay, got hurt, ended up and then got in trouble, and then had to go to New Orleans. On and off games.
No, I think it was the year before he got replaced by Brady in Tampa Bay because that's when there was Fitzmagic had like 4 or 5 like absolutely bonkers games.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Did his usual Ryan Fitzpatrick thing where like week 6 he threw like 4 interceptions and only like 150 yards. I was like, all right, put Jameis back in.
Right.
Went to New Orleans, backed up Drew Brees there. Drew Brees left. Jameis was playing, like, tore his ACL in a victory, stuck around there, was out of the league for a year, and then has been in Cleveland for the last year or so. So it's
I still think the best clip I remember of Jameis Winston is eating the W's in New Orleans.
yeah.
Like
Yeah. Was that New Orleans or was that? I think he was actually playing for the Bucks in New Orleans because that's the division rival.
Something like that. I think
he was the captain in Tampa Bay, for a little bit.
Right. But I don't know. It's just he's going to be good TV this week. You need someone with his personality, his smile, and everything to be uplifting there right now.
Well, it is, and there's the Super Bowl media row is always a bit chaotic. Having to do like Jameis there, I think it adds a little bit more entertainment to it. And personally, I like it when current players who aren't participating that week, put on their media hat. Like, I mean,
right?
Why isn't George? I hope George Kittle's out there asking questions. Like George Kittle's a guy
Kittle doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Kittle do it.
Kittle's great with a microphone. Like the man has never met a microphone he didn't like. And I think you say a little bit of the same thing about Jameis. So
right. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to Jameis being out there in the show. So I'm looking for those great clips that he's going to bring, and that's just you can run highlights year after year after year, like with him eating the W's. Like that's something that's just burnt into my mind, and I can never let go in my life because that was just hilarious.
Him dancing on crutches the day he tore his ACL after a win in New Orleans in the locker room as they're celebrating there's another good one.
Right. That was another good one. Yeah, that was.
We were discussing it before we started recording the snow game earlier this year, where he led the Browns to that victory against Steelers in the inclement weather, snow coming off Lake Erie. He runs for that late touchdown. Like it's poetic, dude, man. It's the romance of football.
It was like thick snow too. It wasn't just like you're like, oh, it was still no snow. It was there's snow drops bigger than like silver dollars falling down. It's like, God damn, dude, this is great.
As a resident of the Midwest, that snow, it looks pretty. Fuck dealing with it in person. Yeah, it's not fun. It's not the best. It's not the best.
All right, let's get into these coaches now here.
Yes. Let's talk on
that. Here we go. We got these guys going here. So everybody's got a hired coach pretty much except for the Saints.
Right.
Last I checked.
Correct.
So, I mean, it's kind of interesting here. Cowboys, I mean, they go and hire Brian Schottenheimer.
Right.
Out of their, he's been their like offensive coordinator or offensive assistant for the last 3 or 4 years.
He's been their offensive assistant for 2 years for 4 years. He's been there for a total of 4 years. He's been the OC for the last 2. And here's my theory on Brian Schottenheimer is I didn't hear anywhere in any of the coaching cycles where any other team asked to interview him.
Right.
I think what they're doing is going to allow him to be the scapegoat for a year and a half to 2 years in Dallas while Dion continues to build up his cred because Colorado State still hasn't beaten anybody big. Or excuse me, University of Colorado. Colorado State, is that right?
Colorado State, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Still, I mean, they look great on paper, and when they play, middle-level opponents, they beat up on them, but they haven't beaten anybody of any note.
Right. And I don't think they ever will, honestly. I
don't know, dude. They're getting deeper into the recruiting now. And look, Dion is probably the best recruiter out there, with the exception of now Belichick and Saban before him. And you got to look at I'll give Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart's done a hell of a job recruiting, down in Georgia as well. But when it's the Southeast, you can walk out your front door and find, hey, who's that massive dude at the grocery store? Oh, that guy's 17 years old and is an offensive lineman who's 6'6", 340 and can run a 4.5 40. And he's me,
right.
Yeah. So I think Dion is probably going to be recruiting some of those guys, and he's going to try to continue to build up his resume at Colorado. In the meantime,
honestly, I'm right there with you as this guy being a scapegoat for a year or two, and then bring it into something bigger, and like, oh, cool, now we're going to hire another this, and we're going to go get another quarterback, or we're going to go. This allows us to get something like a decent running back or something like that.
Everything I've heard points to them taking that running back out of Boise State.
I mean, they're right there in that mix where that would fall to them. So.
Absolutely, and I think that it's like when they went and they drafted Zeke that one year. It was the missing piece, and they had a great run. I mean, Zeke had multiple a couple back-to-back 1,500-yard rushing yards. Same time, Cowboys are getting a little thin, a little old along the offensive line, but their running
Right.
game was absolutely atrocious last year. You get
Well,
a
they
guy
didn't
in
have
front of
anybody
that,
to run. That's why.
right? Exactly. That's what it was. You plug in a dude like that into that an offense like that, it's going to be
Yeah.
better. But at
It
the same
100%
time,
will be better.
look, you got Jerry Jones out there like mumbling about glory holes and like, I mean, dude, his Joe Bidening and sundowning faster than anybody that I've seen in quite some time. Like they need to stop putting him in front of cameras. They need to stage manage him a little bit better. Brian
Like
Schottenheimer,
you
he
can
knows.
stage manage a guy like that though. He wants that spotlight. You get
He doesn't
fired
know
if you
what the
try
fuck he's
to.
doing. Do you think he knows what he's saying most of the time? I don't think he does anymore.
I don't think so either. I don't.
It's elder abuse, and yeah, it's kind of funny, but it's still elder abuse at the end of the day. But Brian Schottenheimer knows the personnel, knows the system. No one seemed to want that job. No one
Like
seemed to
this
want
job.
Brian Schottenheimer. It's probably the safest move for both the Cowboys and for Brian Schottenheimer. And again, Brian Schottenheimer comes from a legacy NFL family. Everyone knows his dad. His dad won a lot of games. His dad also shot the bed in a lot of playoff games. We're getting too conservative. But Marty Schottenheimer won a lot of football games as a head coach.
Right. I'm still wondering who the Saints are going to hire. It's got to be someone from like either the Kansas City Chiefs or the Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff.
I hear Kellen Moore's name get thrown around a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. But the
Okay.
Saints,
That
again,
makes sense.
they have kept doing this like retool and not a full rebuild thing. They're in another year of salary cap hell coming up.
Right. They can't kick the can too much further down. They're like going to
No,
have to strip everything down and
they're gonna
start
have
from
to
scratch soon.
exactly, and there's gonna be some real lean years there when that's happening before they get that back. And I don't know if Kellen Moore is gonna go from, a situation as good as he has it in Philly to
Right.
go and take the Saints job.
Right. It's going to be hell at that Saints job for a few years, unless you can right that ship like the Rams did. Just like, okay, we're going to trade, cut, and then we're going to start drafting.
Right. Now, you do have Mickey Loomis is one of the longest tenured GMs in the league there in New Orleans. He's well regarded. They just
Right.
spent a bunch more money upgrading the stadium for the Super Bowl this year. Saints have a rabid fan base. New Orleans is a town that players do like to go live in, everything
Right.
like that. But when you can't sign free agents or re-sign your own, you've got to have some sort of plan in place. So I do agree that whoever takes the Saints job is going to be, from one of the two Super Bowl team staff. Pete Carroll, welcome back, Pete. Welcome back,
dude. I like Pete Carroll as a coach. I mean, I hated him when he was in the Seahawks because it's a rivalry thing. But dude, best thing the Raiders have done in years, probably in a decade, honestly, is to hire Pete Carroll as their head coach.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I think the Pete Carroll Tom Brady pairing is a good start. Raiders have some pieces. You got Max Crosby on one side of the ball. You got Brock Bowers on the other. They hit on some second and third round picks on the offensive line. Still have huge question marks at running back and quarterback. But I think that either Kirk Cousins or Sam Darnold ends up as the quarterback there.
So what I'm hearing, I keep hearing this, is they're making a massive trade, and they're trying to get that number 1 overall pick. They're going to give something the Titans cannot refuse and move up and take that number 1 spot.
And I didn't get that, but my concern with that is they have so many holes on that roster. Can you really afford to give up that much draft capital? And you're not giving up Brock Bowers or Max Crosby. That's not happening.
But for a guy like Cam Ward, I think Cam Ward's worth it because he can sit there and he can keep learning in an offense, Pete Carroll designed offense with a decent decent offensive line. I think it would be great. I think honestly, it would help him. You can keep feeding Brock Bowers, and it's going to win you some games.
So I mean, what is it? 2-3 first rounders to move up to get there?
I'm hearing 3 first rounders. So that's what I keep hearing is 3 first rounders. They got to select
this year, 2025, 2026, and 2027.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I'm hearing, but who knows? It's still early, and it's still rumor season. They're saying, "Oh, Cooper Kupp's not going to play for the Rams anymore." But
I heard that too, and
why
I
would
was
the
like,
Rams?
his cap number is not that prohibitive. He's only making like $8
No.
million next year. Like, why would?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to see what's going to happen. And it's like, I don't see that happening.
What do you mean? He had one bad season, so you want to trade him and cut him? What the fuck? No.
I just think that's
No.
clickbait right there. But I think
Yeah, and that's 100%. It's like it's like dumb rumors are right now. You know,
it is.
dumb
I think
rumors.
Pete Carroll, you know, and then the GM that they brought on, you know, those two dudes obviously have a plan. Tom Brady has a plan. I think Mark Davis is finally going to sit back and shut up and just start writing checks, which is what he needs to do, and stop trying to be. He's not. Sorry, you're not as smart as your dad. You're not. You know, like that's not going to happen here. And as an aside, the Pete Carroll Jim Harbaugh rivalry continues. We've gone from the Pac-10 to the NFC West to the AFC West.
I didn't even think about that. Holy crap, they did do that. Holy shit,
dude!
He's right there in San Diego. I totally forgot.
Dude,
oh my god, I didn't even think about that.
Wait for watch that first Raiders Chargers game is going to be prime time next year. Watch, dude, because those two dudes, it's going to be good. On a side note, I did read that Jim Harbaugh is having an arterial ablation because he had a heart murmur earlier this year, so they're addressing that, and he's getting a hip replacement. So look out, Pete Carroll. Jim knows you're coming. Jim Harbaugh knows you're coming. He's gonna be ready for you next year, bro.
He's gonna be on that fresh hip. He's gonna be able to run up and down all down the sidelines like you.
What's your deal? What's your deal?
Here was a funny one. Liam Cohen. That was a wild story. Wild story in Jacksonville.
I mean, it's the fact that Trent Baalke chased off two other possible head coaches before Shad Khan realized that I'm not going to get to hire anybody worth a shit with Trent Baalke in the room. Hey, Trent, Niner fan over here. I've seen this movie before. It always ends this way with you getting fired and escorted out of the building.
Right. So let's see. Here it goes. Here's the saga.
Okay, yeah, you got the timeline.
I got the timeline. Doug Peterson fired. Trent Baalke is retained. And then the Jags expressed interest in Ben Johnson and Cohen, but both of them turned him down because of Baalke. And the Bucs offered to make Cohen one of the highest paid offensive coordinators or offensive coaches and prohibit him from talking to another or from interviewing with the Jags. Mm-hmm. Cohen agrees to the deal to remain in Tampa Bay, and Robert Saleh becomes their favorite for the Hire's head coaching job. Then Shad Khan decides to fire Trent Baalke and offers Cohen the lucrative deal. Cohen ghosts Todd Bowles and gets on a plane to Jacksonville for a second interview, not calling anybody for 24 hours after it's done. Bowles finally gets into contact with Cohen at 5 p.m., who says he's at the doctor's office with his sick child, but briefly mentions wanting to circle back to Jacksonville. And then after that, Jaguars announced him as the head coach just a couple minutes after that phone call. Wild story, man.
Yeah, dude, it's talk about like palace intrigue and stuff like that, dude. That's I mean, after all that, Liam Cohen, you better put some W's up, dude. Like and quick, because I mean, they have some pieces there. They do have some pieces there. Baker Mayfield had his best season as a pro this year. Under the Liam Cohen offense. I think that Trevor Lawrence, still a very talented quarterback. You know, still he can make all the throws. Trevor Lawrence can do everything that you want your quarterback to do. So
yes, he can be an elite quarterback in the NFL. He can.
Right. So I'm curious to see what they can come up with. And again, let's remember the AFC South. You know, it's probably one of the more competitive divisions. Yeah, Liam Cohen is going to have to come in there and I think put up some numbers pretty quick, get some W's on the board. You know, Houston had, you know, they dealt with a lot of injuries this year. CJ Stroud, I wouldn't call it a sophomore slump, but they didn't sneak up on anybody this year. Indianapolis, who knows what you really have there with Anthony Richardson? I mean, they benched him, they brought him back, did this. They did that. Tennessee is, I don't think anyone needs to worry about. All they're going to try to do is play spoiler a little bit because they're in the midst of a full-blown rebuild themselves.
Right.
There's nothing to say that on paper, with the talent that Jacksonville has, that they couldn't go and be competitive. Now, can they get it all together and get moving in the right direction? Man, it's January 30th. You know, who knows?
Right. I'll put it this way: as being in the Rams' former offensive coordinator, McVay has nothing but good things to say about his talent level of performing in the office, which is going to
Mhm.
bode well, and which would, like I said, I ride and die with McVay. In McVay I trust. So here we go. I think he's going to do well over there. And for that storyline that I went through, man, that happened within, I think that was like less than like 3 or 4 days that happened.
It was about a 72-hour window, and probably less than that.
Right.
When I saw the word that Balky had gotten fired, I was like, Liam Cohen's going to take this job, because
So did I.
all the reports was that Trent Baalke wouldn't commit to go and spend money in free agency and to make the moves in the draft to go and get players to be competitive. And I don't know how the fuck you're going to hire a coach when the GM that you're being married to isn't willing to go and to do
And
what
make
has to be
moves.
done to build a competitive
Right.
team.
Right. You have to. You have to. You have to keep improving, or it's just going to come and bite you in the butt. Get away from
Yeah.
the door, Roxy.
I
We
think
all
I
knew
think we
Mike Vrabel.
Vrabel already got fired last time. Didn't we talk about that?
Who?
Yeah, we
What did
talked
we?
about Vrabel last time. He'd already been hired, right?
Right. Yeah, we all knew Vrabel was going to New England once they fired
Yeah.
Mayo. We all knew that. Ben
Yeah, so we
Johnson.
talked about Vrabel. We talked about Ben Johnson.
No, we haven't, because we haven't talked about Ben Johnson because the Lions were still
Oh, that's
playing.
right. Because right. So Ben Johnson came in and immediately started taking shots at Matt LaFleur, which guess what, dude? Like, you don't have the same ammo you had before.
Right.
Like, that's
But
that
I
you're
think that is what you want from as a Chicago Bears fans. You would want your
yes.
coach to take shots at the Packers, because that's such a historic rivalry. They hate each other. It's with a passion.
It's centuries old for sure. And
Right.
I agree with you on that, but it's like, you're setting up, like, again, what happens if you play week one and LaFleur and Love and everybody come in there and beat you by 30. It's like you're gonna
Right.
look pretty stupid.
Yeah.
I dig that, and he gave lots of kudos to both Dan Campbell and KOC. KOC also got an extension, which was well overdue because teams were already started sniffing around about trying to trade for him, and Minnesota was not going to let him walk. That's
You would be dumb if you would let Kevin O'Connell
no,
leave
there's no
that
way.
stadium.
Well, and I don't think Kevin O'Connell wants to go anywhere. Like, the Vikings have a brand new stadium, a brand new facility, ownership, and a GM that is willing to spend.
Right.
Yeah, like,
And he's got a team that
he's
been building up for the last couple of years. Why would you want to leave that? You don't just want to leave your team
exactly.
to go coach somewhere else. Like, no, I got everything in place. I'll keep building one on from his years past, and he just wants to keep building. Why would you want to leave? That's dumb.
Exactly. So Ben Johnson has one job and one job only: make Caleb Williams a winner.
Right. And I think that's honestly, for all these coaches in this hiring cycle, Ben Johnson's probably, if it was either him or Kingsbury that could have came in there and helped coach up Caleb to be an elite performer that he's supposed to be. I personally don't see Caleb still as a very high ceiling, but other people do. Other people see Caleb
They
as being a high
showed his
ceiling.
stats over the last half of the season. Statistically, like, he protected the football, his completion
Right.
percentage was high. He did everything that needed to be done to try to win games. I think the overall scheming around him, though, was trash. And for a rookie quarterback to have 3 different guys calling plays for him over the course of his rookie season, for him still to put up decent numbers,
That's
speaks to
a
that.
good thing.
Maybe Caleb Williams does have the skill set. Like, this is going to be the most important offseason of Caleb Williams' life, and getting Ben Johnson hired in the building as soon as possible is key.
Right.
Because you guys are working on verbiage, and you saw the type of offense that he liked to run in Detroit.
You're right.
Chicago has a lot of those guys between Ro Madunze, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift is the running back there. I mean, they have pieces in that offense to be dynamic. Now it's just going to be a matter of dialing it up. And what was the big thing about Jared Goff this year? Completion percentage, quarterback ranking, and protecting the football. I don't think it's fair to ask Caleb Williams in his second year to do that, but he's going to be expected to execute a lot of those things at a high level. And if
Right.
not, how short is the leash going to be for him?
Like I said, I see I see Caleb being a Kirk Cousins status, being able to get you lots of wins in the season, but when the time comes to crunch, it might just fall apart. That's just what I've seen out of him. That's just what I've seen, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I can see some of that too, but I also think that if in the next year or two, if Chicago were to get to the playoffs, that would be a huge victory for
Oh yeah.
ownership, Bears fans,
Oh yeah.
Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, and everybody. Now, granted, everyone talked about how the NFC North was like, the toughest division in football, and see, Vikings, Bears missed the playoffs. Bears in the playoffs. Vikings and Packers eliminated round one. Lions eliminated round two. So I mean, they're pretty good, but maybe
they had zero playoff wins, is what you're trying to say. That whole division.
Yeah, they didn't make the run they were supposed to. So
yeah, it's different.
So we will.
Playoffs
we'll
is
see
a different atmosphere. Playoffs is a different atmosphere.
Well, experience plays a lot, and honestly, with Detroit, their injuries on defense caught up with them, and I thought it was going to eventually just happen around earlier than I had predicted.
And Washington's just good enough team to expose those. Kingsbury is a good enough coach to expose those defensive cracks, and that's what he did.
Yeah,
that's exactly what he did.
I think Kingsbury staying with Jaden Daniels in Washington and the excitement around that team. Washington has a fucking shit ton of cap room. Free agents want to go and play there. The second year of Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels, I mean, that could be.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
I'm here for all of it too. I think it's going to be great. It's a fun offense to watch. They do everything that you want them to do. I don't really know how much. I mean, Jaden Daniels didn't really lose that game as much. It was like those dudes couldn't hold on to the fucking football. Eckler fumbled. Zach Ertz had that fumble. Then I want to say that I think Brian Robinson had one too, and that turned into 21 points right there.
Right. And that's but that costs you. Turnovers cost you games. That happened with the Rams. Kyron Williams fumbled, and they got 3 points, and then Matthew Stafford fumbled, and they got 3 more points, and those were the 6 points that beat them.
Yep.
So it's
exactly
that's what happens. And then last one here.
That'll be Aaron Glenn to the New York Jets. Aaron Glenn, who played for the Jets, was a multiple-time Pro Bowler out of there. This, to me, with the exception of the Saints job, probably one of the more undesirable jobs in the coaching cycle, considering the smoking dumpster fire you're walking into. Thanks, Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
But Aaron Glenn, Aaron Glenn seems up to the challenge. And as a side note, what does this do to Detroit, losing your 2 top assistants in this hiring cycle?
That's
I know
tough,
that
dude.
there is the Aaron Glenn's right-hand man, his name escapes me at the moment, who's the new defensive coordinator in Detroit, is I think they'll be fine defensively. They're going to get healthy. Right. They're going to run the scheme the same way they always have. Losing Ben Johnson, that's a tough one for Goff and company there.
That is a huge loss. I don't know, but going back to the Aaron Glenn thing, I've been watching some of his clips over his press interview, and he reminds me of so much of Dan Campbell that I feel like this was a good hire for the Jets. They already have a solid defense that Aaron Glenn can work around.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he's there for. He's a defensive coordinator. You don't bring in a defense coordinator to boost up your offense. You bring in your defensive coordinator to boost up that defense. So they're going to go defense first.
I'm surprised that they went. It is. I'm surprised they went defensive coaches back to back like this. They went from Saleh to Ulbrich to Aaron Glenn. But I also feel like the strength of that team is the defense, and so you got to kind of cater to that.
Right. And if they would have had a younger QB, I could see them trying to go offensive, trying to find an offensive coach. But they got an old QB who, don't get me wrong, as much as we bust up Aaron Rodgers, he's got a lot of football knowledge and can take you down and win you games with his knowledge. So,
except for this year.
Yeah.
Except for this year. The guy was disinterested. I mean, for as much money as the Jets were paying him, you can at least pretend you want to be at work.
It didn't seem like he was interested. I agree. He was more interested in the New York media than anything else. So
and drugs.
and drugs. Hey, man, that's what happens when you move to a big city. Man, the drugs are better.
I mean, I don't think Aaron Rodgers had trouble getting drugs in any city he goes to, be it Green
No.
Bay, California, wherever.
Right.
Yeah, but no, Aaron Glenn coming in, his press conference, yeah, a lot of Dan Campbell to that, and you see that. I mean, you're talking about two former players, two former defensive, or Dan Campbell was a tight end, but Aaron Glenn, a former defensive player, played in the era where you could actually play cornerback and like hit other players.
Right.
Not the flag football rules that exist now. Started off as a defensive assistant in New Orleans, worked his way up through the ranks. He's earned this job. He's definitely put in the time and the elbow grease and the effort to get there. Now, the Johnson family, how much are they going to be meddling with this? What do you do with Aaron Rodgers? What do you do with the quarterback position? How do you try to regain? How do you regain and rebuild that locker room after the shit show of the last 2 years? It's a big task.
Aaron Rodgers decided whether he's going to retire or not?
No, nothing's been said.
Nothing's been said yet. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it's still blank because that would be big news whether he's coming back or not. I know Stafford today said he's coming back for 2 more years.
Yeah.
So, and so he just wants to restructure deal again, which is fine because he doesn't have any guaranteed money. So, how big people are.
Yeah, exactly, and he has a good enough relationship with McVay and ownership in LA that they'll figure out something that's fair. I also feel like Aaron Glenn wouldn't have come in and taken this job without having a plan in place without Aaron Rodgers, and I'm sure that was presented to Woody Johnson.
You have to have a plan. Yeah, you can't just be a head coach, be like, oh yeah, assume Aaron Rodgers is coming back, and then if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back, what? You're going to be the Jets from the year before? Oh yeah, let me Zach Wilson, and then blame everything on Zach Wilson.
Dude, I heard a rumor that the Jets might be thinking about bringing Sam Darnold back. And if I'm Sam Darnold, I tell him to fuck all the way off.
all the way off.
Like,
all the way
you
off.
go over there, you fuck all the way off over there. Fuck you guys, dude. Like, you scapegoated me because you're bad at everything. Like,
right.
Yeah.
There's no way Minnesota lets him walk. They're hammering out a deal. Now that they got Kevin O'Connell out a deal, they're hammering out a deal with him too.
Actually, I disagree on that. I think that some team is going to offer Sam Darnold more money than he's really worth, and they're going to go into the season with Danny Dimes and J.J. McCarthy.
I forgot Danny Dimes is over there.
Yeah, I think that's why they got him.
I keep forgetting about
that scenario.
I keep forgetting Danny Dimes is in Minneapolis, man.
Right, dude, and I'm telling you, I really feel like they got that for this situation because when they went and got Danny Dimes, they were like 13-1 or something like that. Like they knew that Sam Darnold was going to get paid this offseason. No one knows what what he can do as a starter. He had a second knee surgery, to clean up a little bit more of some swelling and some inflammation in there. If you could do that with Sam Darnold in that offense, why couldn't Daniel Jones do that?
I think he can. Kevin O'Connell is a great quarterback coach. Great quarterback coach.
Absolutely. So
yeah,
I still think Sam Darnold ends up in Vegas. I think that's where he goes on a 1-year deal to for one, mentor whoever they go to get into, unless the Raiders go and make some crazy move and jump up to number 1 and do all of that. I mean, there's questions. Actually, on this list, the only team that you really have a question mark with is the Jets right now. I mean, Jacksonville, you got Trevor Lawrence, a bunch of money. Raiders, question there. Jets got a question there. Saints probably got 1 more year. Derek Carr. Cowboys, you just gave all that money to Dak. Caleb Williams. I'm trying to think who else needs a quarterback out there right now. You got a question mark in Seattle a little bit. Like how long are you going to ride with Geno? The Vikings we just touched on.
We already talked about the Raiders.
Right. I'm trying to think. San Diego's set. I mean, I would say that having a good backup plan in Indianapolis might not be the worst thing.
Right.
Tennessee needs a quarterback. Will Levis.
Yeah.
Will Levis and Mason Rudolph are not the answer there. Giants.
Yeah.
For sure. Having a good backup for Tua seems to be something you need to worry about every year.
Right. Yeah,
Falcons
that's pretty much it. Yeah, Falcons. Well, I mean, I don't know. Do you think Penix is going to be the answer there? He looked good in the
Yes,
later in the
yes,
last
I
3
think
games he
so.
played.
I think so. I
So
think Penix is the answer there, and I think with where they drafted him at, yeah, you always need a good backup there, but I think that's going to be his show moving forward.
right, it makes sense. You let him sit behind Kirk Cousins for most of the year until they started losing games, and then they needed to
Right.
put something in. Oh, Steelers! Steelers don't have a quarterback.
Right. It's going to be either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. One of those
You
two
think?
will be the starter there next year. And I wonder. I mean, they faltered down the stretch, and you need a second wide receiver, and you need to get George George Pickens into therapy. You got to get that figured out because that could make or break. That could really make or break everything that goes on there.
Right.
TJ Watt's going into a contract year. How many more, one and dones are they going to put up with Mike Tomlin? There's that question too. But I also feel like unless you have a for surefire solution at head
As the head
coach,
coach,
you don't
yeah.
you don't get rid of Mike Tomlin.
Right.
Um,
I agree.
I mean, Cleveland quarterback issue.
But
Baltimore
Cleveland always
said
has a quarterback issue.
they did it when they had that dude wearing number 6. I figure like he was pretty good.
Yeah.
That's kind of shot the bed on that one. And then Baltimore.
Oh yeah,
and
let you win a playoff game, and then we'll kick you out. Don't worry.
Right, exactly. We're gonna after you play hurt for us, then we're gonna say that we want an adult in the room and trade for a rapist.
Yeah.
Good call there, everybody. And then Baltimore and Cincinnati are covered. So there's a handful of jobs out there for quarterbacks, and then people get hurt. People get hurt. You never know.
Mm-hmm. I still think what's his name? What's the Vikings quarterback name? Sam Darnold is going to make easily $20 million a year a contract. Easy.
Oh yeah,
easy.
Dude, he made 12.5 a year this year.
Yeah, easy. So
and people scoffed at that, like, "Oh, what? We get paid $12 million for Sam Darnold?" I was like, "Yeah," and
he won 14 games
until he wasn't. Yeah, just couldn't get past Detroit. That's how it goes.
Right. Speaking of quarterbacks getting paid, any hear anything about the Purdy's contract?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. No
Nothing
rumors,
yet.
no sprinklings.
Conversations are ongoing. He's I actually think that he's not at the facility. He is not in the Bay Area at the moment.
Right.
That's
that
all
makes
I
sense.
know.
It's vacation time for these guys.
Exactly. So they're doing that. Haven't heard or seen anything. No one's asked. And I think this probably will come up at some point with George Kittle running around in a Hawaiian sun hat and a microphone over the next week. As someone will ask him, and Kittle's kind of dialed in all that stuff. Brock's his boy.
Right.
Interesting to see what it goes there. I fully believe that a contract will be done well before the draft.
Oh yeah.
And OTAs and all that kind of stuff because they want him there for OTAs. That's huge.
Right. And now he can actually hold out and be like, "No, I'm not."
Well, that's what they're trying to avoid. Yeah, they're going to get out in front of that. Now, is it going to be record-setting money? I don't know.
No.
I think it lands somewhere between 50 and 55 million a year. I think that's fair for Brock Purdy. I don't think Brock Purdy is asking to reset the quarterback market. I think he knows what he's worth. I think he also knows that $53 million a year is a lot of fucking money, but also need to, keep some money to keep, you got to keep building that roster.
Right. And the NFL cap keeps going up, so $55 million is not bad. Now $55 million for a starting QB is about average. It's starting to become about average.
Well, for an upper echelon one, like come on, they just gave Dak 60.
Well, for your second contract, for like your second contract as a coming out for your rookie contract.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean. Yeah.
So yeah, it's then after that, then you'll drop back down to like 30 to 40, depending on what it is. Maybe 10 years from now or 3 years, whatever, 4 or 5 years now when he signs his contract, 55 will be about average still for quarterbacks because the cap will keep going up.
Well, the cap's going to keep going up, and at some point, I do feel like the NFL Players Association is going to be like, you need to start more guaranteed money. Because now that there has been a couple fully guaranteed contracts out there, I think 4 players of the elite status.
I don't get how these guys don't poach for more guaranteed money personally.
I think during the next collective bargaining agreement, that is going to be the sticking point. That would be the one thing that could lead to a holdout, is the lack of guaranteed money, or the fact that I still think it's like 51-49, money split between owners and players. I think players are trying to claw some of that back.
Yeah, I can see that too. I can see that. I mean, I get like not everybody having a guaranteed contract. Like some of your lower tier players, like on your practice squads, and
Your backup tight end isn't gonna get a fully guaranteed contract. But it's like, if I am the face of your franchise, if I am your multiple Pro Bowl running back, wide receiver, if I'm Justin Jefferson, I want most of that money to be guaranteed, or I'm gonna get a bunch of it up front.
right, like in one big fell swoop, and then you guys can work. Then when we come down the next 2 or 3 years later, I can cry for more.
Right, exactly.
Because I ran out.
Yeah, exactly. Cross that bridge when we get to it. So, no, nothing on Purdy, nothing on McCaffrey, nothing on Brandon Ayuk. The last thing I heard about Brandon Ayuk was he was at the Detroit. Yeah, it was the Detroit game in San Francisco. Walking around, no knee brace on, no crutches. Said that he actually engaged in like a little Nerf pickup basketball game in the locker room. It looked good.
Nice.
So his rehab seems to be progressing. All I see is Debo out partying with his boys. That's all I've seen so far for the Niners this offseason. Kyle Juszczyk was at a golf tournament. Someone asked him what his Super Bowl prediction was, and he said, "I hope both teams lose."
Right. Yeah. Like, what do you expect, man? No one wants you guys to win. Like, yeah.
Right. And then Kittle and Bosa are at the Pro Bowl. Fred Warner's there. But Fred Warner's not participating because he's healing up, but he's still there doing Fred Warner stuff. So no big news out of San Francisco yet. Haven't heard anything from the Shanahan either. So
okay, I'm just curious because the Niners, they've had a few weeks to kind of go over their offseason, just because we're now 3-4 weeks off from week 18, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes you hear some news, sometimes you don't. I was just curious.
The Niners are keeping things very, very close to the vest this offseason, because last year you had Ayuk, you had Trent Williams. You were already hearing rumblings about McCaffrey, the Purdy deal. What do you do with Debo? Blah, 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 blah. You don't really have a lot of that to worry about this year. It's just Purdy. And everyone knows that that's going to get done. Like, everyone knows that there's no like, oh, well, we'll trade him like where they're talking about with Debo, or the Ayuk trade rumors or stuff like that. There's no concern about that with Brock Purdy. Everyone knows that deal is going to get done. And the dumbest person in all of the world, Skip Bayless, is out there talking like, this is the same guy who thought that the Saquon deal was overrated, that he wasn't going to be a star in Philly, that he wasn't going to be successful. Same guy saying that Brock Purdy isn't worth $50 million a year. The Niners should trade him now. They can get value for him. It's like, Skip Bayless, shut the fuck up. Like, you every time you talk, everybody gets dumber.
Unless you're getting a number 1 overall pick for Purdy, you're not trading Purdy.
If you're Tennessee, do you offer up the number 1 for Brock Purdy? If you're the Niners,
that's what I'm saying. Like that, if you're not, unless you're getting the number 1 overall draft pick, or even number 2, you're not giving up Brock Purdy on trade.
If you're the Niners, do you entertain an offer for Brock Purdy for the number 1 pick?
I mean, I like Cam Ward. I mean, if Cam Ward's on the board, then yeah. I like the way he throws. He can make every throw on the board. He's smart enough to get out of the pocket, and he's got legs, and he's a young talent, and he seemed to do well in that Miami offense, or the Florida whatever state offense they call. So yes, I entertain it, and you do your research.
Right. I just also feel like doing that, you upset the balance of that 49er locker room.
Oh, you do. But like I said, you only entertain it. You don't really do your research on it. Then I've never done enough research on it. I hate the Niners, so of course I say do it. Right? Do it.
Yeah, you're a Rams fan. That's a perfect answer. Yeah, ideal. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, put another rookie quarterback in there. Let's see what happens. Come on.
Careful, bud.
You never know, right? You never know. I mean, the Rams draft hope right now, what I keep seeing people say, they keep wanting to go after Jason Dart. Like,
yeah.
So, I don't know. I've been mulling that over.
What, they sent Jimmy G to a 1-year deal, right? As the backup?
Yeah.
So he's gone. I think Stetson Bennett is definitely the number 2 next year, and I feel like the Rams have more needs along the at linebacker and inside linebacker and offensive defensive line that need to be addressed with the picks they have.
We're going with tight end. I guarantee our first overall pick will be a tight end. I can say that now confidently. Our first overall pick this year will be a tight end. You know, don't get me wrong. We had our flows at defense. Like the whole reason that Saquon got those 4 70-yard plus rushing plays was because Roseboom bit down like he wasn't fucking supposed to. Right. They told him all practice, stay up, because Saquon's going to run out and beat you, and then we're not going to. Our safeties can't tackle this guy. And
right,
what
Roseboom do? He legs.
Yeah. Roseboom crashed the offensive. Roseboom told the linebackers to crash the offensive line. I can show you all the replays where he's signaling them to crash, and as soon as they crash, he breaks a big one. So besides that, the Rams didn't have too much struggles on defense this year, so I could see us still going down to a 3rd round pick for a linebacker and trying to fill in the void there and trying to balance it out for a few more years with the 3rd round draft pick and Spites. But yeah, I see tight end. I really do, because McVay's been dying for a tight end ever since he got drafted. Ever since McVay came into the organization, he says he needs an elite tight end to help his offense.
Well, there were rumors that he was going to try to make a move to go and get Brock Bowers last year.
Yeah, that's who they were supposed to get last year. If they were supposed to trade Atlanta to move up with Atlanta, but Atlanta said, nope, we want Penix. Because the Penix landed there. Penix was our guy. And yeah, and then we couldn't get in front of the Raiders to go get Bowers.
Yeah.
So.
In other fantastic NFL news, Justin Tucker got caught doing a Deshaun. Allegedly. Right. I have to make sure I don't get sued here. Was allegedly caught doing a little bit of Deshaun Watson stuff. Multiple masseuses in the Baltimore area have come out with complaints of inappropriate behavior going back several years against Justin Tucker. He, of course, came out and said that these allegations are unfounded. He would never do anything like that. He, loves America and Jesus and kisses babies and doesn't jack off in front of strange ladies. Interesting. Did not have a Justin Tucker scandal on my off-season NFL bingo card.
Neither did I. It was very interesting. All of a sudden, the news broke. I was like, wait, what? Justin Tucker is doing this? No, Justin Tucker. This is a kicker. A kicker's not going to go out there and pull this kind of crap. He doesn't got the kind of leverage a quarterback does.
Right, but he's the best kicker in the NFL. He's probably a Hall of Fame NFL kicker. But you go back to like the Brandon McManus things. Matt Prater was a drunken fucking whore when he played in Denver. Like,
true.
There's kickers. True. Kickers take advantage of being the kicker and being under the radar to get away with being fucking psychos. It's like, it's like Dexter probably would have been a fucking kicker, like.
Right. I can see it. Yeah. I'm only on the play every once in a while. I can do whatever I want everywhere. Yeah, everywhere else.
Here, fantasizing about murder, like. Right. So more to come on that, but it was an interesting and for really was a down season for Justin Tucker. He struggled with some stuff at the beginning of the season. Everyone says that it all stems from the AFC Championship game last year, where he was out there warming up and doing the thing where he was kicking over Mahomes doing his warm-ups, and Kelsey went and kind of moved him out of the way, and everyone says that he angered the football gods by trying to mess with Mahomes. Now, would the NFL go as far as to fabricate charges against somebody? I'm not,
I mean, that's like saying, do you trust your government? I mean, come on.
Yeah, of course the NFL will fabricate charges against somebody. Yeah, fucking for sure. So, did Justin Tucker go too far? It's who knows. So, more to come on that. We'll definitely keep you updated as the details flow out from there. I want to see the pictures of the masseuses. Like, who was it?
Well, it's 6 of them now, right? 6 of them.
6.
Let's see who gets the bigger body count, so to speak.
God, dude, it can't be more than Deshaun, dude. The guy had to pay off 20 plus ladies, and there's I think he finally settled his last lawsuit this year. Yeah,
right. It was like 34. I think Deshaun had.
It was. I don't know the exact number. It was too many. Was what it was. It was too fucking many.
Way too many.
Way too many.
I don't even know how.
Honestly, one is too many. One is too many. And when they come up with stuff like that. Let's be
Yeah, one is too many, but dude,
perfectly clear about this. And when they come to this sort of behavior, it's like, it's one thing if you like, you know, got drunk and took your shirt off at a Super Bowl after party with a broken arm, Gronk, you know, or did stuff like that. But when it comes to like, you know, sexual assault and weird stuff like that, one is too many. And so
yeah,
Deshaun
and
Watson
honestly,
shouldn't be in the NFL, in my opinion.
yeah,
Justin Tucker, granted he's a kicker. I
shouldn't be in
mean,
the NFL either. I'm sorry.
if these
It
charges are proved to be
right,
true
and
and verified, then yeah,
that's why
he should.
that's what I was going with it. Yeah, I'm
What
right
I
there
hope
with you.
happens is that it's just PR, and Baltimore doesn't want to deal with it, and he's innocent, and he kicks for the Niners next year. I already was thinking of a way to spin this for me.
Hey, you guys do need a kicker, man. That rookie kicker.
That is for sure. Jake Moody is definitely gone. Another quick coaching news: Niners did confirm that Robert Saleh came back, is now the highest paid defensive coordinator in the NFL. Also signed the Jets special teams coordinator to be the Niners new special teams coach, which is good because Niners special teams has been absolute ass the last couple of years. And pretty sure that was the dude who was hooking up Aaron Rodgers with ayahuasca. So we'll see how that works out for him in the Bay.
There's a lot more ayahuasca being passed around in the 49ers locker room, huh?
You know,
you guys are going to build little huts in the locker room, and then it's just going to be bar fest everywhere.
James, you have more insight to the Bay Area than I do at this point in time. So
it flows freely out here, man. It flows freely. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. It does. And then I'm trying to think what else here. That pretty much covers. I think we touched all the bases on the NFL stuff, didn't we?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, because there's not much going on with the Rams right now. One coach got picked up that I hated that he left because it was their defensive line coach. What was his name? Damn it! So many of these pictures. One. What was his name? AC Carter. Is going to be the Panthers are hiring Rams assistant D-line coach AC Carter as their new outside linebacker coach, according to Mike Kay and Twitter. So, but he was a huge pivotal role in keeping that defensive line together after Aaron Donald left, and they said he was one of the big key cogs in it. So having him leave is huge. It's going to definitely affect our defensive line next year. Hopefully not too much. Besides that, they keep getting Rams offensive coordinators or assistants or whatever. Keep getting calls to be offense coaches somewhere else, like the Texans. Kaylee, I think his name is Kaylee. Let me see here. What's his name? Nick Caley. He's the leading candidate right now to be the Texans offensive coordinator, and he's been the Rams assistant offensive coordinator for 2 years. So he could be one guy that's gone. And then other than that, Stafford's back. There's some BS rumors about Kupp leaving. They need to sign Alaric Jackson, their left tackle, because he's a free agent this year. And they got a shit ton of free agents that they can let go, like Roseboom, and handful of others. But there's not much going to be in the Rams off. It's going to be a pretty quiet offseason for the Rams this year because they got all the rebuilding done last year. Now they're just going to kind of be plugging in holes where they can. I don't know if Higbee's going to come back next year. There's rumors that he might retire. Other than that, that's it for the Rams. I mean, there's not much going on for the Rams after that loss. It's still fresh. It's only been a week and a half. Everybody's finally gone, and McVay's on vacation right now, so not much can go on right now. They're at the Pro Bowl. I know, not the Pro Bowl, the Senior Bowl, right?
Right.
That's just going on. So everybody's watching the Senior Bowl. But yeah, that's it for the NFL stuff. And did we want to talk about baseball? And
I was thinking of the details here. While we were studying and being snowed in different places, Roki Sasaki, the latest most highly touted free agent coming over from Japan, signed with the Dodgers. got a signing bonus of $6.5 million. He 6 years of club control.
Damn.
Trying to find details here.
6 years, huh?
Yeah, so because he came over before he was like a full blown Japanese free agent.
Okay.
Yeah, he signed to a little bit different deal. So the the World Series champions get even better. Kind of eliminates or lessens the sting of being, I guess, losing out on Juan Soto, who signed that monster deal
Right.
with the Mets. But James and I were talking about this earlier. It seems like every offseason it's like they've got like the ghost of Sandy Koufax, Babe Ruth, Nolan Ryan, all these other gangsters in the rotation. And by the end of the season, the playoffs, is Clayton Kershaw, like 3 raccoons in a trench coat, and some dude you'd never heard of, thrown like 7 shutout innings against the Braves and the Padres. So
Right.
yeah, so we'll see how this works out for them this time. But again, it's the rich get richer, and say what you want about the Dodgers. Oh, it's bad for the game. These guys are in on every free agent. They spend money. They're not scared of the luxury tax,
Right.
and they're in on the trade deadline. They draft incredibly well, so they have a well of prospects to always trade from. They're doing it the right way. And even the Yankees even said today, they're like, we can't operate like that. And at some point, yes, all this deferred money and all of this stuff is going to come due. But if you win half a dozen World Series in the meantime when that happens, it's all completely worth it. So
Right. And that's kind of what the Yankees are going through right now. That's what they did in the early 2000s,
well, let's
and
not forget a lot of that was homegrown talent too, like
right.
Jeter, Sada, Andy Pettit. Uh, I feel like I'm missing one there. Bernie Williams. All those dudes were homegrown talent, and yes, you eventually had to sign them to monster long-term deals, but you got them for a long period of time with not these insane inflated contracts. The baseball contracts have gotten pretty nuts, but yeah, the Dodgers keep going and doing what they do there. Good, it's the Dodgers against everyone else is what it looks like. The Yankees had another good offseason. The Mets are making a run at it. Be interesting to see what plays out. I mean, we're less than 60 days from pitchers and catchers, and in fact, pitchers and catchers report like next week, I want to say.
Something. Yeah,
And
I was gonna say they report it next week.
right, so we're about 60 days out from opening day. I have not yet decided my level of involvement with baseball this year.
You're waiting to see what that facility looks like in Sacramento.
I know it's going to look like what a fucking baby's diaper looks like, so I don't really need to be surprised with any of that. So, yeah. Oh, and by the way, if the how do we want to word this? The Las Vegas bootlicker who doxed me on Twitter while discussing the A's and John Fisher and Ricky Henderson's death, know where to find me. Carry on the conversation anytime you'd like.
I get that.
I'll leave it at that. On another note here, we talked about the Olympics, and stuff like that, but wanted to take a moment to condolences to the U.S. figure skating team. That plane crash in Washington yesterday had 16 or 17 members of the U.S. figure skating team on there.
I did not realize that. I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So the U.S. U.S. championships were in Wichita, Kansas, and there was also a developmental camp that was going on. Plane was coming into Dulles International, or was it Reagan? I think.
Right. I heard about the crash. I didn't hear about that was the Olympic team was on there.
There were some Russian gold medalists who were teachers. There were some up and coming U.S. skaters along with their families on there. So wanted to, since we talk about sports, while I don't know shit about ice skating besides that Blades of Glory was an awesome movie, do want to extend condolences, man. Like that's a rough one.
It's a sad moment. You can't lose that many people like that.
Well, it is. It's like I was talking to somebody about this today. It's like I'm fucking old. Like I fly all the time for work. Like if I go down in a plane crash, I'll be like, hey man, like man, that's how it goes. I've done a lot of living. I've gotten to do a lot of cool stuff, man. But for teenagers and stuff like that who are just like 15, 16-year-old kids who are just starting off in their professional careers and stuff like that.
Right.
You go out that way, it's like that always sucks. It's
That's
never.
sad. Yeah.
It is. So yeah. So condolences to them. I'm sure some more details will come out about what happened. It sounds like it was just a terrible accident. Like you you're fighting gravity, and you're in a tight airspace, and it's nighttime, and
Right.
the two sketchiest parts of flying. Everyone and any pilot will tell you it's takeoff and landing. That's when shit gets sketchy. That's why they tell you to sit down and shut the fuck up.
Because we gotta concentrate, motherfuckers.
yeah. There's some real important shit going on right now. Sit down and zip it. So. Granted, you're talking to a guy who generally is asleep most of the time until, what was that? Oh, we hit the ground? I mean, was they snoring? I know I was snoring. Sorry, Yeah, that's me. I'm a friendly flyer, so.
hit the bar before you hit the plane, and then pass out in the plane.
Dude, son, I fly first class. I get free drinks. I don't know what you're talking about.
Dude, you have been flying first class lately. You're like, oh yeah, man, I just got upgraded. Like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you.
Dude, believe me, I have imposter syndrome. People walk by and see me sitting there and are like,
yeah, right.
yeah, I don't blame them. I would look at me. I don't belong there. I am not first class. I am white trash. I am a roach class. That's how.
Please tell me you're at least drinking with pinkies up.
Oh, for sure. I'm stretched out. I'm already trying to find something to watch. Like, sir, what would you like what are my choices for dinner tonight? It's fucking retarded.
Of course.
So it's so dumb. Yeah.
It's the finer things in life, man. It's the finer things in life. That's all it is.
I feel like, man, I have flown peasant class my entire life up until these last 18 months. I've done my time. I've earned this a little bit. So, yeah, speaking of it, hey, Delta, if you're looking to sponsor a podcast, like, we'll listen. It's like,
yeah, I don't mind flying first class every once in a while, once a year.
Yeah, it's all about. I can tell you off the air. I think I dated a girl who knew the ins and outs of rewards cards and how to use them to start like gathering points to manipulate the upgrades. And now that's just how. And now that I've done that, I started that and got that built up. That's the move. So wherever, like, you fly out of San Jose mostly when you fly.
Yeah.
Find an airline that's got a hub or is based out of your nearest airport. You find the credit card that has the points and the miles that goes with that, and that's where you start.
There you guys go. I don't fly that often, so there you go. That's for all you guys that want to fly. That's the way to get.
I mean, I haven't been on a plane in a month, which for me is a long time. And I shouldn't actually have to fly for the next couple, but my summer is quickly filling up here. So
right.
Yeah, it's a rough life, kids. Like I said, it's like sometimes you get snowed in Marshalltown. Sometimes you fly first class. Yin and yang, baby.
Life of a traveling salesman.
Every time I look in the mirror, I'm grayer. I'm aging like a fucking president, dude.
This is what happens when you turn past 40.
Yeah. I got, dude. Okay, you'll laugh at this. I've discussed it a little bit here. My dating life is comical, to put it politely. I got an ad for a new dating app called what was it? It's like Time That's Left. And I was like, what the fuck? This is for like seniors and stuff. And it's like for people 45 and older. I turned 46 in May. And I was just looking at that like
click.
No, I didn't know. I
download.
No,
download.
I'm not. I haven't reached that bottom yet. The days here are getting longer. The sun is coming out. I'm feeling a little bit better about stuff. But it was like, oh, that's for old people, and it's like I am 100% his target audience. Like,
you're right there.
Yeah,
like, kids, hey, next year, buddy, we're right here for you when you need it.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, it's like, I go and get my dog from the dog shelter. I'm a hero. I go to the battered women's shelter. You get the joke writes itself. So,
It's exactly the way you got to live.
So, that's all I've got. James, you got anything else?
No, that was, pretty slow week because it's the week before the Super Bowl. We could talk a little bit about the Pro Bowl. The only thing I liked about the Pro Bowl this week was Terry Crews trying to spike it. which was hilarious because it just read 1 on the spike machine. Even though he slammed that ball down, Terry Crews is not a small guy. He took that thing, slammed it, hit the dead center of it, and it didn't even move. It just went 1. Well,
Did he play in the NFL? Like, I want to say
he was a linebacker. He was a
Yeah.
linebacker for the Rams. He was a linebacker for the Rams.
Rams. Okay, yeah, I thought that was the case. Yeah.
And then you have the Quentin Williams come over there, slam that motherfucker down, and it's like 970 or 988. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
It's all Terry Crews gets 1.
Terry Crews getting trolled out there. Sorry, big boy.
He did. He turned around like, who turned this machine off on me? Because he was about to beat everybody. Like, he was about to like break it. It was going to be like 999. Like when he hit that punching bag machine, just right. And it just clears and it just kind of like haywires. So I think he broke it. That was like the best part.
It just puts up the infinity sign.
Right. I personally, to me, that was the best part. The passing competition is always cool, watching the quarterback try to hit the target.
Right.
I didn't really get the.
Isn't there more on tomorrow?
There is. There's some more. I believe there's more on tomorrow.
It's Friday. I don't think we're going to watch some of that. So
they had the wide receivers go, which was kind of interesting. I just never really get this one. I like the one-handed catch. Then they had to catch it with like these big hands, and then they had to try to do this driving catch thing, which was kind of the way that they had it set up. The ball was going further than anybody could jump and dive. Like you almost had to clear the beanbag that they had out there to catch this ball. I don't know who said, "Oh yeah, let's catch it at the very end of this machine," because they have the pitch machines. They didn't have a quarterback going for them to dive.
Right.
They had the pitch machines going.
You know what they should do is like grease up some footballs with like Cowboy fans' tears and make wide receivers try to catch them with that. That would be fun.
There you go. That would be fun. Yeah. One-handed too. Just
right.
Jamar Chase was just like, all right, next. This is easy. Everybody else is like,
yeah. I mean, that's someone who's going to get paid. Jamar Chase is about to do something in a wide receiver market. So,
oh yeah.
So. Well, great, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening. As always, follow us on all the various socials. The ones that I'm still allowed on. Like, comment, subscribe, send us your thoughts, topics. If you got any cool sports stories, any cool, like, high school basketball, half-court shots, rim-shattering stuff, any cool stuff that we should be taking a look at, please send it our way. We're all about all of that sort of stuff.
Right. We love watching the highlights.
Exactly, and as always, we appreciate the support and everyone taking time out of your day to listen to us. As always, the easiest way to make money on the internet is to scare people. We'll see you all next time.
All right, you guys all have a good night.